for police personnel. Remember, this is very, very difficult indeed for the police working under orders. And as you can see in those visuals, a clear image of protesters also throwing stones and the police having to resort to firing tear gas. Let's also get an update in from Bengaluru. My colleague Maya Sharma sends us this report.
At the town hall, and more protesters being taken away by police. Police are rushing to remove people who have come here as protesters insist on arriving here.
Can you guys hear me now?
Is in fact in place. But protesters who want to have their say they have a right, a democratic right to protest. And here we see protesters being taken away by police. This student here, she looks like a student being pushed away by women police, being taken into the bus. That is the situation right now as protesters are being moved away and being taken into the bus. Police in riot gear being taken away from here. This student also being taken into the bus. Section 144 is in place. Prohibitory orders are in place from early morning today to Saturday midnight. But people have tried to come here to make their point clear. Students arriving in this bus, insisting that they have the right to protest. They insist that this is what they should be allowed to do. Questions being raised over whether Section 144 should be imposed here based on violence that has happened elsewhere. But a lot of emotion here. A lot of emotion here as people are being rounded up and being taken away. The policemen here just giving instructions to wait till the bus is full before actually moving away.
Excuse me, madam, hello.
But he is starting the bus, and the bus is moving away with agitated protesters. This bus moving ahead to fill up with more protesters as the police do in fact are loading more protesters into the bus. More protesters being loaded in over there. We see people actually getting there.
All right, the latest information coming in from Lucknow.
Yeah, you should be able to hear me and everything now.
The Parivartan Chowk area and NDTV's own OB van damaged there as well. It's a fluid situation and we'll continue.
You should be able to hear me now as well.
From Lucknow, where we've been reporting, there's been some vandalism and arson as well, with protesters provoking the
I don't know what was going on there
too.
for a minute, but everything freaked out on me.
That evolving situation for the moment. It's time.
But we should be good now. I do still have my eye on Hong Kong, but right now this is the most active situation. There's a sit-in, there's tear gas, there's everything. But I think they're gonna go to a commercial. Yeah, they will. So we'll switch, I guess, to Putin, because right now, unless you can get somebody in here, you got the Chinese president speaking, and you got some other guys speaking.
并适应澳门成为国家一个特别行政区的历史转变，更加坚定地把爱国爱澳排在核心价值序列的第一位。无论是处理重大问题、制定法律政策、谋划各项事业，还是选拔管制人才、确定教育方针、把握舆论导向，都以是否符合国家
So this is the Chinese president that's right now.
首要考虑。特别是面向青少年深入开展爱国主义教育，实现所有学校升挂国旗、奏唱国歌、 全覆盖，使爱国主义精神薪火相传，巩固了一国两制
I think that
成功
the
实践
Chinese,
的
that the
思
Indian
想
one
基础。
just shut down for a second.
第二，
Let's see.
宪法和基本法权威牢固树立，特别行政区政府和社会各
So
界
everything should be a lot
声明
smoother now.
宪
I don't know
法
if you guys
和
recognize
基
that.
本法共同构成特别行政区宪
Well, everything should be way smoother, right? I don't know who this guy is down in the corner.
一點就係話有職場欺凌，咁我哋會去了解究竟佢講嘅係點樣一回事。佢認為而家嘅機制有邊度唔好，佢認為個機制可以點樣優化，咁然後我哋會睇嘅，我哋會睇。
He said, "Why are we watching Winnie the Pooh?"
咁頭先你問到如果啲
Because the other option
相對上我哋係比較
is
年
to
輕
go
嘅
to
同事啦，佢
Russia.
嚟到要接受培訓，要多
Which
啲
we
同事
could
去
do.
帶佢啦嚇，咁呢個一定會有嘅。
Where
唔帶邊有得培訓咧係咪？
Putin is speaking.
咁但係咧，所以點解我話個前
There is
兆
another
就係咧，
idea.
我哋
We can decentralize the work on this track, and regional authorities would have more opportunities to solve the problems that we have. They will have more taxes available to leverage against the problems they have, and they will be more actively working on these projects, right?
Пересматривать здесь ничего не нужно.
We don't need to
По
revise
большому
anything.
счету, по принципам.
Largely.
Второе, персональная ответственность
Personal
введена.
responsibility has been introduced, but we can
детализировать. В-третьих, сами нас
make it more
проекты,
detailed.
конечно, это очень масштабные. Ничего
As
подобного.
for
I will be
international
right back.
projects, that's a large-scale effort. We've never used such a framework, such an architecture, such tools. We just had state programs, but that was a different story. We now have key targets, and we have identified the money that will be spent, and we have personal responsibility. We use those tools already. That's how we need to move forward. Well, whether it's been stalled or not, well, we definitely need to pass some legislation. We needed to set up the right legal framework. And I had some alarming alarms about it. I was apprehensive. There were 38 targets, and we believe that 26 of them have been reached. 12 have not been reached.
Yeah, well, I'm giving me what the world is working with.
From dilapidated
You know, I'm working with what the world gives me. It's not really my fault.
targets. That we actually
I don't really have another choice, unless you just want to watch commercials from India.
tripled the number of
But
people.
right now,
we have.
I'm working with the world gives me.
3 times higher than
It's all I can do.
targets.
Believe me, I don't want to talk to these. I don't want to hear these people.
But no
But
overall.
this is what the world is giving me right now.
Let's continue with the federal agencies. Vladimir Putin, hello, Interfax Agency. This year was full of high-profile cases, criminal cases. Some of those cases were discussed during the Human Rights Council. At that meeting, you did not comment on the Golunov case. You said that this whole situation is beyond any legal means.
Lockdown declared across
unlawfulness.
parts of Karnataka and Delhi as people hit the streets across at least 10 states in protest against the centre's new law on citizenship. The permissions for these protests planned last evening was denied by this morning in almost all the states. That didn't stop people from coming out. Many of them have been detained. In the national capital, hundreds of protesters have been taken into custody as they defied Section 144, a law banning the gathering of more than 4 people. Around 30 people have been detained in Bengaluru, along with the historian Ramchandra Guha, who was dragged away by the police in the middle of a television interview. The Delhi-Haryana border was sealed to stop the influx of busloads of protesters who were trying to make their way to the protest ground near the Red Fort. In Sambhal in Uttar Pradesh, 2 buses were set on fire. In Gujarat's Ahmedabad, police used batons on protesters. That's the overall picture over there. Let's give you an idea of where a lot of the protests have been happening today. There are protests on in Bengaluru, in Delhi, in Patna, in Jammu, in Lucknow, in Kolkata, Ahmedabad, and in Guwahati. All of these areas, as you can see on your screens over there, a lot of protests taking place, a huge security presence as people have come out in huge numbers against the Citizenship Act. So what is the Prime Minister doing in all of this? Well, the Prime Minister had an important meeting with the Portuguese Prime Minister in Delhi today. The Home Minister had an important meeting at an event of paramilitary forces, and the BJP President had an important meeting with Afghan refugees. All this as India protested a lockdown on the internet, protested a lockdown in parts on phone communications, crawling traffic, violent protests in some areas, and of course it's all about the Citizenship Act. So some would say, if we go back to the previous screen, a disconnect between what, let's go back to the previous screen, a disconnect between what the Prime Minister and top leaders of the government have been involved in. No doubt those are important events. But if you look at what India is going through today, then there's a stark contrast between the lockdown and the protests in parts of India and the events being held elsewhere as if everything is normal. Let's go across to NDTV's Arvind Gunasekar, who joins us now from Janpat, where some of the protests are scheduled. Arvind, give us an idea of what's happening at your location.
Vishnu, after Delhi police declined permission for the protest to gather at anywhere in and around the central Delhi, now what we are seeing is that protesters have gathered at the Jantar Mantar. In fact, all these protesters from across Delhi, they have gathered here. In fact, earlier the protest was planned to start from Red Fort, and again when Delhi police declined permission for protest from Red Fort, and then protesters gathered at Mandi House. Even there, police started detaining the protesters who have gathered there, including senior left leaders like Sitaram Yechuri and others. In fact, social activist and also leader Yogendra Yadav was also detained. So after Delhi police declined permission for the protesters to gather anywhere in and around the central Delhi, now what we are seeing is that protesters have finally gathered at the Jantar Mantar. We are seeing around thousands of protesters gathered here, raising slogans against Delhi police actions in Jamia University. Also, protesters also demanding the repeal of Citizenship Amendment Act. In fact, we are also joined by Sanketh. Sanketh has also been speaking to the protesters here. So let's ask Sanketh about this. Sanketh, you went around, you spoke to the protesters here. So from action against police for Jamia police brutality and also Citizenship Amendment Act. So the demand by the protesters is increasing day by day.
Well, I can tell you, as someone who in the month of April 2011, who covered the Anna agitation right here at Jantar Mantar, I can tell you that this is almost like the Anna agitation, and it happened around the same time in UPA too. The same thing is happening as of now. Of course, section 144 has been imposed in all of Delhi. You can see that protesters are using different ways. Why are you carrying a rose?
What we are going to say that is not a violent protest where students will not associate with any political party. But what is happening in JNU, what is happening in AMU, what is happening in DU, what is happening in Ashoka, we are against it. We do not want to, we are not for violence. We want to take the Delhi police along with us. This is what that rose signifies. And our nara is Delhi police, baat karo, aao hamare saath.
So you want the Delhi police to talk to you? Huh?
Baat karo!
You want the Delhi police to talk to you?
Yes.
Why?
We just want them to know that we're students and we're asking for our rights. We're not here to fight, we're not here to create violence, unlike other newses that
Are you students?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you think dialogue is the only way forward?
Yes, definitely.
Because violence is not a way. We have seen what happened in Jamia, what happened in JNU. We want to talk, we want to resolve the problem by talking, not by war. We believe in peace.
Okay, thank you so much. So Arvind, as I said, way back in 2011, 2012, even during the Anna agitation.
All right, I'm just going to just bring you these live images at this stage coming in from Lucknow, where there is a fire which has broken out in a particular area where protests were taking place. The fire brigade has been called in, joined by Alok Pandey on the phone line. Alok, what are the details? Right, we don't have him. We're going to try and get him in a moment. Tear gas used against protesters over here. In one of these areas, a fire broke out. We'll try and bring you images of that. Vehicle set on fire. A police post has been vandalized as well in Lucknow, in the Sambhal district. There has been another instance, I believe, a bus may have been targeted over there as well. But clearly a great deal of violence, a lot of smoke in the area. Unclear if all of that smoke is from tear gas shells being fired, or in fact there's a fire. In fact, as you can see over there in the distance, there is a fire. Unclear what exactly has been set on fire over there, but the fire brigade of Lucknow in position at that location. Hopefully nobody has been injured as a result of that fire. These are dramatic images coming in from Lucknow on a day of massive protests across India. 10 cities at least where protests against the Citizenship Amendment Act have been coming in. Let's just listen in to my colleague Kamal Khan.
और आपराधिक षड्यंत्र का भी मुकदमा उनके ऊपर कायम किया जाएगा। लेकिन ऐसा लगता है कि ये पुलिस की कोई भी वार्निंग काम नहीं आई, क्योंकि इसमें तमाम बच्चे हैं, बहुत बुजुर्ग लोग हैं, महिलाएं हैं। ये इस तमाम तरह की पब्लिक जो है वो सड़कों पे उतर आई है इसके खिलाफ।
कमाल, ये कोई पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का कॉल नहीं है। लोग खुद बाहर निकले हैं। दिल्ली में भी स्टूडेंट खुद बाहर निकले हैं। कोई पॉलिटिकल फिगर नहीं है, फिर भी लोग घरों से बाहर निकल करके मार्च कर रहे हैं, अपना प्रोटेस्ट दर्ज करा रहे हैं।
हाँ बिल्कुल, देखिए इससे ये समझना चाहिए कि ये जो है किसी एक पार्टी का काम नहीं है। बहुत सारे आम लोग जो पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं, जो जिनको लगता है कि कानून के जरिए डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हो रहा है, वो सड़कों पे हैं। इसमें तमाम मजहब और तमाम धर्म जातियों के लोग हैं और बहुत पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं। इसमें तमाम सिविल सर्विसेज के, जो इंडियन सिविल सर्विसेज के ऑफिसर्स हैं, इंडियन रेलवे सर्विसेज के ऑफिसर्स हैं, इंडियन मर्चेंट नेवी में काम करने वाले लोग हैं, उनकी तमाम फैमिलीज हैं, उनके घर के बच्चे हैं, उनके घर की महिलाएं हैं। इससे ये समझ में आता है कि ये जो तमाम पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं, जो बड़ी बड़ी पोजीशंस में इस टाइम है, वो भले अपने सरकारी पोजीशन के कारण उसमें शामिल ना हो पाए, लेकिन उनका परिवार, उनके बच्चे उसमें शामिल हैं। अभी कुछ छोटी बच्चियां हमें फोन कर रही थी कि हम जामिया मिलिया के रहने वाले हैं, पढ़ने वाले हैं, वहां से हम लखनऊ आ गए हैं और ये कहाँ प्रदर्शन हो रहा है, कोई जानकारी हो तो हमें बता दीजिए, क्या इसके ऊपर बैन लग गया है। तो छोटे छोटे बच्चे, स्कूली बच्चे और बहुत तरह के आम और पढ़े लिखे लोग जो पहले किन्हीं प्रदर्शनों में शामिल नहीं होते रहे, ये वो लोग नहीं है जो प्रोफेशनल्स हैं और किसी तरह के राजनीतिक आंदोलन में हिस्सा लेते हैं। ये वो लोग हैं जो मिडिल क्लास पढ़े लिखे आम लोग हैं, जो ये प्रदर्शन में उतर पड़े हैं एक साथ।
बिल्कुल, जो ये दृश्य हम देख पा रहे हैं, जूम इन करके हम देख सकते हैं। एक तो पुलिस वाले दिख रहे हैं, लेकिन जूम इन करके जो बिल्डिंग में अभी भी हमारे वहाँ पे देख सकते हैं कि वहाँ पे प्रोटेस्टर्स मौजूद हैं और आगजनी अभी भी हो सकती है। तो उस लिहाज से ये कौन सी जगह है कमाल, और ये लखनऊ की कौन सी जगह है और वहाँ पे क्या स्थिति बताई जा रही है अभी?
हम इस वक्त तस्वीर नहीं देख पा रहे हैं, लेकिन हम बहुत जल्दी आपको उसके बारे में जानकारी दे पाएंगे। लेकिन लखनऊ में बहुत जगह अलग अलग जगहों पे एक साथ ये हो रहा है और अचानक कुछ हो जाता है, वो लोगों को पहले से जानकारी नहीं होती और जहां पुलिस उनको रोकने की कोशिश करती है, लाठीचार्ज किया है पुलिस ने, टीयर गैस छोड़ी है परिवर्तन चौक से। तो जब पुलिस उनको, क्योंकि पुलिस को ये उम्मीद नहीं थी कि उनकी इतनी एहतियात और इतनी वार्निंग के बावजूद आम लोग सड़कों पर इतने बड़े पैमाने पर उतर आएंगे, तो जहां भी लाठीचार्ज, टीयर गैस या धक्का मुक्की रोकने की कोशिश होती है, कई जगह पे शायद वो पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के लोग होंगे, कई जगह और ऐसे लोग हैं जो तोड़ करने वाले हैं, वो कर रहे हैं।
कमाल, इससे परेशानी की बात है क्योंकि लखनऊ में कुछ जगहों पर धारा 144 लगा दी गई है। डीजीपी ने बात की थी सुबह आलोक से, आपसे भी परसों उन्होंने बात की थी, और जो आज सुबह आलोक पांडे से बातचीत की थी, उन्होंने कहा था कि एहतियात के कारण ये किया गया है। लेकिन अगर इंटरनेट रुक गया और साथ में अगर धारा 144 लगा दी गई और उसके बावजूद ऐसे दृश्य आ रहे हैं, तो ये सवाल खड़े करते हैं।
हाँ देखिए, दफा 144 जो है वो 9 तारीख से लगी हुई है पूरे यूपी में, और उसको री एनफोर्स करने के लिए वो मैसेजेस जारी करते हैं कि वो दफा, कि लोगों को पता रहे कि दफा 144 लगी हुई वो हटी नहीं है। तो ये गवर्नमेंट ने कहा था कि 9 तारीख को जब अयोध्या का जजमेंट आया था, तब से पूरे यूपी के हर जिले में दफा 144 लगा रखी है और उनका मैसेज आया था कि ये दफा 144 अभी कायम है, लिहाजा कोई भी सड़क से नहीं उतरेगा। बल्कि डीजीपी ने पेरेंट्स से अपील की थी कि वो अपने बच्चों से कहें कि वो कहीं किसी तरह के प्रदर्शन में न जाएं और घरों के बाहर ना निकलें। लेकिन यहाँ पे जो नज़र आ रहा है उसके मुताबिक लगता है कि बहुत सारे बच्चे, बहुत सारे पेरेंट्स, वो महिलाएं, वो सारे प्रदर्शन के लिए निकल पड़े हैं।
मैं कमाल वही कहना चाह रहा था कि ये प्रदर्शन जो है किसी का बंद का कॉल नहीं है। दिल्ली में भी हमने देखा ढेर सारे स्कूली बच्चे, कॉलेज के बच्चे, उनके पेरेंट्स जो हैं शामिल हुए। लखनऊ के अलावा उत्तर प्रदेश में हमने देखा संभल से भी खबर आ रही थी। और ऐसे कितने इलाके से खबरें आपके पास आ रही है कमाल?
देखिए ऐसा है कि बहुत सारे जिले, रायबरेली से खबर आ रही है, मेरठ से खबर आ रही है, कानपुर से खबर आ रही है, रामपुर से खबर आ रही है।
मैं माफी चाहती हूँ, मैं आपको रोक रही हूँ। जो दृश्य हमारे सामने, किस तरह से पुलिस भाग रही है, शायद उस मॉब को डिस्पर्स करने की कोशिश कर रही होगी। जहाँ से एक पथराव हुआ होगा तो हम देख सकते हैं पुलिस वाले भागे और उन्होंने डिस्पर्स करने की कोशिश की है। अगर पानी का बौछार होता है, उसके बावजूद आग नहीं रुकती है, तो भी ये क्या दूरी हो सकती है, डिस्टेंस हो सकता है। आलोक पांडे हमारे सहयोगी, उन्होंने जानकारी भेजी है, वो सुनते हैं।
हम इस वक्त लखनऊ के खदरा इलाके में हैं। यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं कैसे यहाँ पे हिंसा हुई है। हम उस तरफ जरा चलेंगे। राजेश, आप आगे आइए मेरे साथ। ये आप इधर देख सकते हैं, पुलिस वाले थोड़ा सा भाग रहे हैं इधर, क्योंकि उस तरफ थोड़ी सी हिंसा हो रही है और उधर से पत्थर चल रहे हैं। और ये पिछले 1-1.5 घंटे से यही मंजर रहा है। यहाँ पे पत्थर चल रहे हैं और इसके अलावा इधर से लाठीचार्ज हो रहा है। तो काफ़ी इस तरफ मैं आपको बता सकता हूँ कि बवाल है, लेकिन मैं फिर उस तरफ चलूँगा। राजेश, अगर आप जल्दी से मेरे साथ आ जाएं, क्योंकि हम ये दिखाना चाहेंगे कि यहाँ पे कैसे गाड़ियों में आग लगाई गई है और किस तरह से एक चौकी को ध्वस्त किया गया है। पहले आप इधर दिखा दीजिए। ये आप देखिए कैसे पूरी चौकी में आग लगाई गई है। ये पुलिस की गाड़ियाँ हैं जिनमें आग लगाई गई है। ये पुलिस की चौकी है जिसको पूरी तरीके से ध्वस्त कर दिया गया है। ये एक गाड़ी है जिसमें आग लगाई गई, अभी इसको बुझाया जा रहा है इसमें आग। तो फिलहाल यही स्थिति यहाँ बनी हुई है। राजेश गुप्ता के साथ आलोक पांडे, एनडीटीवी इंडिया।
जी कमाल, आप हमारे साथ हैं। अभी हम
the images that you see now are from Lucknow. You saw Alok Pandey reporting a few moments back, where in one of these areas where these protests are going on, amidst a great deal of tear gas shelling, there is a small fire that has broken out as well. A fire tender over there dealing with that situation, trying to put that fire out. And as you can see, there's been a lot of pelting of stones and other things. You can see the ground over there. That's on the right hand side of your screen. On the left hand side of your screen, motorcycles burnt down again.
Top left,
Lucknow,
Hong Kong. Top right, India. Bottom left, Putin, Vladimir Putin.
Which area this is.
Bottom
the
right,
violence has spread in some areas
UK Parliament.
Two images, both from Lucknow. On the right, the fire brigade has been deployed to put out a small fire in an area where there's been a large presence of the police and protesters. There's been stone pelting which has taken place as well. The OB vans of journalists have been attacked in some of these areas, and so the tension in Uttar Pradesh continues. This is just Lucknow in the Sambhal district of Uttar Pradesh. There has been further violence which has been reported. Let's go across to NDTV's Alok Pandey, who joins us. Alok, lots of images of the violence in Lucknow, but in terms of this area which has been set on fire, a fire brigade, a fire tender trying to put it out, tell us the details.
Well, I have visited at least 2 areas where mobs have attempted to set police posts on fire. One is in Khadra, which is a part of Old Lucknow, and the other is also a part of Old Lucknow in an area called Thakurganj. Some of you would know Thakurganj from the Rumi Gate, which is a landmark in Lucknow when you visit here. This is the area that is seeing a lot of violence. Areas here and in the vicinity of 1 to 2 kilometers from here are seeing a lot of violence at the moment. At least 2 police chowkis have been torched. I'm standing in front of one right now. This is the police chowki Satkanda. One police motorcycle has been upturned and also set on fire. 3 more police vehicles have been torched, all are motorcycles. There has been an attempt to set the chowki on fire. In Khadra also there were similar scenes. I was there. There was a lot of stone pelting. I saw a petrol bomb also being hurled at the policemen. The police tried its best to push these mobs inside, but they kept on pelting stones and they kept on assaulting the policemen. and that's when a lathi charge and tear gas was also used. So that is what has happened, and these are very, very worrying pictures. One can only hope that things will go back to normal, and this cannot be condoned under any circumstance. I mean, it is perhaps a democratic right to protest, but it is no one's right to indulge in this kind of vandalism. But unfortunately, these are the scenes that we've seen in Lucknow, and we are seeing that, in fact, where I stand right now, the network's a little problematic, so I can't send you everything instantly. I see this contingent of the RAF, the Rapid Action Force, and one of their anti-riot vehicles marching towards me, marching ahead of me, and all of these people are dressed in full riot gear with helmets on them, and there is a Vajravahan and a water cannon vehicle also, so things are very, very tense. One does hope that everyone will see reason, including these people. All of these people who have indulged in this violence and arson, they will be brought to book for it, and one will see reason, because this cannot be accepted under any circumstance.
All right, and outside Lucknow, what are you hearing?
Well, I haven't really managed to touch base with a lot of my fingers today, Vishnu, because networks have been very bad, and I myself am in a situation where a lot of violence is happening. But I got a call from our Moradabad finger Anwar, and he told me that there was a issue in Sambhal where 2 buses were torched. I also got some reports of some violence in some other areas, but I cannot really.
All right, we've lost that line with Alok Pandey. We'll come back to him once again. For the first time, the Delhi police ordered mobile phone companies in the national capital to shut down telecom services in many parts of the city to curb fake messages, rumors, and videos from being circulated. That's another important development. The services were restored at around 1:30 p.m. But just imagine, in our national capital, including areas on Bahadur Shah Zafar Marg, which were impacted, where you've got all the major newspaper offices, there was no mobile services. How do journalists actually function? The other big impact, these massive traffic queues in large parts of the national capital near Gurgaon, traffic jams extending several kilometers as this busy roadway, a couple of them completely jammed. Children getting back from school has been a problem. The police searching all the vehicles from early this morning. A lot of schools ending early, trying to send their kids back, but children having to wait several hours before they were actually able to get back home. So a lot of tension in the national capital. A lot of protesters decided to defy the police and the orders that they couldn't assemble in places. Many of these protesters were in fact detained, taken away to lockups. These images we'll show you from the Red Fort area where the police actually clamped down on protesters who had come for these. I'm also joined by Tehseen Poonawalla at this stage to get a couple of reactions. Tehseen, you were one of the protesters out earlier today. Where were you protesting and what exactly happened?
So me and my team were at Mandi House, from where we were supposed to march to Jantar Mantar. The police swooped down upon us, detained us. They put me in a separate bus because I had about 250 people who had come on my call. And of course, they tried to rough everybody up. After those people are still at Mandi, at the police headquarters on Mandir Marg. I have been left, and
front of the police, saying they come in peace. I think this is a very welcome message at a time when there is so much. Protesters with flowers telling the police that we come in peace. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Vishnu, some students who have gathered here protesting against the police brutality in Jamia University. In fact, they had a very moving protest. In fact, they gave roses to the police officers. In fact, their slogans were simple. What they are saying is that we are with you, be with us. In fact, we both should have a dialogue. There should not be any more violence. So that was a theme on which they were protesting. In fact, they tried giving roses to the police officials. In fact, we could see those visuals also here. In fact, around people who have gathered in and across the central Delhi to protest against the Citizenship Amendment Act and also against the police brutality in Jamia University. After Delhi police denied them permission, they all have gathered here at the Jantar Mantar, everyone raising slogans against the police violence in Jamia University, and they are also asking the government, they are also demanding the government to repeal the Citizenship Amendment Act. We are also joined by Sanket. Sanket is also here. Sanket, again, we could see the crowd is increasing every minute. Also, we saw some of the leaders who have been detained. They have also given a call saying that after their detention, after their release from the detention, they have asked everyone to gather here. So the call against, the demand against the Citizenship Amendment Act is increasing day by day.
Oh yes, it is. And today was supposed to be a protest all over the country at various locations. And you saw that closer to the evening yesterday, we saw how state government after state government imposed Section 144. The same happened in the national capital also. In fact, where we are standing right now, Section 144 has been imposed here also, which means this gathering technically is not right, it's illegal. But this place is known, Jantar Mantar has been known as a place where protests take place traditionally, and I think the idea of the police is to contain these protesters in one area rather than them being scattered all over the city. As of this moment, I do not know what the next strategy of the police is going to be. Are they going to allow a large congregation over here? I can tell you that all entry and exit points in this 100-meter stretch are also being very closely monitored. Each and every person who's coming in is being checked. People are asking, the police is asking who they are, what background do they represent, and letting them in right now. It's pretty clear that as of now, it's just this stretch which has been made available to the protesters. I do not know for how long, because this also, technically, if you speak to the Delhi police, they say that this gathering too is not allowed.
That is very evident, because we could see a large deployment of police here also. Even police have actually, they have also deployed the water cannon here also, because when we spoke to a senior official, what he is saying is that as far as students and the protesters protest here peacefully, they don't have a problem. But if they start marching ahead, then they have to intervene, they have to stop them, and they have to use force. Correct. And that's why they have deployed.
You know, Arvind, there's another thing. How long is this going to happen? Because if you see, that's a megaphone in the hand of the police. Manoj is going to show you. So obviously the police is preparing itself for announcements that they're likely to make. What those announcements are going to be, Manoj is also going to show you. As you can see, water cannon has been deployed. It's just been deployed. It's been there for a while. They've not used it, but all the arrangements have been made. There are 2 layers of barricading on one side and 2 on the other. And this stretch for protest is only 100 meters. So I think the strategy as of now is to allow these people to peacefully protest, which they are doing right behind me. But the moment they get an order that this crowd has to be dispersed, then I think they will move forward. As of this moment, the protest is being allowed. But obviously, Arvind, I spoke to a lot of these protesters over here, and I can tell you the mood and the anger is on 2 counts, not just one. It started with protests against the Citizenship Amendment Act as well as the NRC. But I think the reason why not all of these protesters are politically inclined, and there are many students also who have joined, because they feel that the action that took place in Jamia and the action that has been taking place in various universities across the country was unkind and wrong. That is not how you clamp down on educational institutions. I think those pictures from Jamia is what has got a lot of students who are non-aligned, who are not part of SFI, ISA, many of those activists are also here, but normal students are gathered over here because more than the CAA and the NRC, they feel that if someone has to criticize a policy of the government, they must be allowed to do so, and police has no business entering campuses. So that's the anger which can be seen here.
Vishnu, like what Sanket is saying, that though the protest actually started in the country against Citizenship Amendment Act, but the majority of the students who have gathered here, they are also protesting against the police action in Jamia University. That's why we saw visuals of students giving roses to police, saying that there should not be any more violence. Even both the students and also the police, they both should have a dialogue. The violence should stop, and that's why we saw a moving protest by the students giving roses to police also. Vishnu?
Thanks very much, Arvind and Sanket. We'll keep coming back to you. I'm joined now by Abhishek Tripathi, someone close to the BJP. He was a part of the social media team of the BJP in Mumbai. Thanks very much for joining us. If messaging is what this is all about, do you believe that the lack of proper messaging at this stage from the Prime Minister or the Home Minister trying to reach out to these protesters is something which is a concern?
No, this is not a concern. My very first question is, why are the protests happening? And why was it happening so violently? It happened today also. The buses were torched in Lucknow, in Sambal area, in Uttar Pradesh. So section 144 has been imposed. Now, police or authorities or administration have to preempt. There's something like this which can happen, which is happening for last 3-4 days. So that's why this kind of arrangement has been done. So I don't understand why this kind of protest, which is
no, but then why don't you try and ask? I'm asking you that, Abhishek. Why are the protests happening? Because surely it's not enough to say that the Congress party has gone and got these massive protests and people coming in, instigating trouble, and they have done all of this. These are students from different colleges, different cities, 10 different cities across the country.
Like my fellow,
so could this not be a spontaneous issue?
Mr. Tehseen Poonawala himself said that he has called 250 people. There are so many like him who must have called so many people.
Right. So what you are saying is that this is all a Congress doing. That's what you're saying. That these students and protesters don't have a mind of their own beyond what these political leaders are saying.
Let me tell you, Vishnu, not even 1 or 2% of real students from all the institutions are protesting. More than 95-98% want to study there happily and peacefully. There are very little bunch of people who are out there, and how they are called, we just got to know on a national television. There are so many, these kinds of messages are revolving around all through through SMSs and WhatsApp. Also, the reason why the internet was shut there, because this kind of mobilization doesn't work. People don't even know and realize.
No dissent. Let's shut off the internet. Why have it at all? Let's shut off WhatsApp.
No,
why
increase
right?
it? Why increase it, Vishnu?
Why increase it?
Vishnu, I saw a while back, 2 hours back, when I was live, I saw the traffic jam from Gurugram to Delhi. Yes. I was live on NDTV. Yes. I was shown that. Why is this happening? Why are so many people not been able to reach college?
No,
why
but Abhishek, let me ask you a question.
It is because of this illogical protest.
Does it not strike you that a lot of these people have a serious grouse against the National Register of Citizens, the Citizenship Amendment Act, and that they are expressing dissent, not just here in Delhi, all over the country? Is it enough to say that they are being instigated?
Vishnu,
if they've been instigated, it's because they believe that instigation amounts to something. It's based on something which they disagree with. I mean, look at the numbers.
More than 80% of these protesters don't even know. We have all those videos. They were asked why they are protesting. They don't know why they are protesting. They don't know what Citizenship Amendment Bill is all about. They're just there because they are called.
Okay.
Most of them, yes, we know it. We have seen those videos. I'm not just saying because I have to say this.
Okay.
It is very important to understand.
I think Abhishek, I personally find that difficult to believe that the people who are protesting wouldn't have any idea of any of this. But let me get a quick reaction from Tehseen before we go across to. Right.
Vishnu, we have seen that in multiple videos. That is coming across to us.
Okay. May I please come?
Yeah, quickly, Tehseen. I want to go to the ground situation.
I'm amazed at Mr. Narendra Modi sir, Mr. Amit Shah sir and Mr. Tripathi sir here, their mind-reading abilities, that they know that people who are protesting don't know what they're protesting about. Only Amit Shah sir, whose son, by the way, is in the BCCI and therefore bullied Ganguly. Mr. Modi sir and Mr. Tripathi sir know what everything is about. I'm sure the Supreme Court also does not know what people are protesting about. Therefore, yesterday on my petition and 58 other petitions, including mine 59, the Supreme Court issued a notice. Maybe the Supreme Court also doesn't know what they're protesting about. Maybe the media channels also don't know what the protest is about. Why don't you extend your level of not knowing to everybody else? Because 2.5 men will decide what this country do.
So CAB, they're protesting.
First of all, it's
not
CAA.
about Indians
First
at
of all, it's CAA.
They are not.
First of all, it's CAA. I think you don't know what you're talking about. First of all, it's no longer CAB, it's CAA. Now correct. Now I'm going to correct you. I don't know, but I will correct you now. CAA. Now come on. It's no longer CAB.
You all don't know that it's not about Indian citizens at all. It's nothing to do with them. I'm sure you all know that much.
Okay. I'm sure I don't know. I'm sure I don't know. I'm sure I don't know, but I take inspiration from a man called Amit Shah sir, who said in Bengal, and I quote him verbatim. देखिए, आपको डरने की जरूरत नहीं है. पहले मैं CAB, now CA लागू करूंगा, इसके बाद में NRC लागू करूंगा और NRC से बंगाल में ले सारे देश में लागू होगी, जिससे घुसपैठियों को मैं देश के बाहर निकालूंगा. Now tell me, am I talking? Do I not know anything of what I'm talking, or does this gentleman Amit Shah not?
So you want illegal immigrants to be in India? You want illegal immigrants to be there in India?
I agree with you.
Are those the ones who are protesting right now on the road?
I agree with you.
No, one sec, both of you. One sec, both of you.
I'll answer. You've got to give me this right to rebuttal. I agree with you. I don't want illegal immigrants to be in India. The cutoff date in the Assam Accord was March 17, 1971. 85 was the Assam Accord. Who gave Narendra Modi the right to make it December 2014? I agree with you. I don't want illegal immigrants. It is Amit Shah ji yesterday in 2 interviews who said day before yesterday that people from Pakistan and Bangladesh will be allowed to become citizens without documents. Now I am asking you, where are my 2 crore jobs? You promised me 2 crore jobs. You are giving people citizenship
All right,
without documents.
one second. There's not going to be a monologue. Please answer, Abhishek, before I go across to reporters on the ground. Yes.
Okay, Vishnu, I have missed so many things. I don't know whether you can hear me because the visual and the audio is missing.
Of course.
Genuinely.
Of course.
I'm on Skype right now.
Of course.
But I did hear the last part what Tehseen said about the jobs and all. Please come back again.
When they don't have an answer, this is what they do.
No. One second. We're going to come back to both of you.
Come on, yeah. Come on, Tehseen, please.
Okay, I'll repeat slowly. Please. Amit Shah sir said citizenship will be given without documents. I am against citizenship being given. He said it in 2 interviews day before yesterday. Now you tell me, why are citizenship being given without documents? A. B. What happened? You can't give people jobs, you're giving citizenship without documents. These are words of Amit Shah sir. Kindly reply to this. Now you said illegal.
One minute, Tehseen. Hold on. Please answer. Yes.
I'm sure you didn't hear again.
There's a delay. 1 second. There's a delay. Hang on. Can you hear Abhishek? All right. I don't think he can hear. We're going to cut out of this for the moment. Go across to our correspondents on the ground. Who do we have at this stage? All right. Maya Sharma joins us from Bangalore and Sukirti Dwivedi joins us as well. Let's go across to Sukirti first. She's at the Red Fort. Sukirti, give us an idea of what's happening over there. There were large protests which were planned, but a lot of the protesters were actually moved away. What's the situation there now?
Yes, Vishnu. The biggest protest was supposed to begin here, and the entire march was supposed to be till the Shaheed Park at ITO, but the police stopped all of those protesters. However, there is almost 200 protesters in the background beyond that barricade that have been waiting here, and there is heavy police deployment that has been there as a preventive measure. There are several police buses there, as well as rapid action force personnel are there, both male and female RAF personnel are there, and Delhi police is there. A bunch of 200 protesters who have been doing a sit-in protest. They've been doing a dharna for the last 4 hours. So far it has been peaceful, but the police has been deployed as a preventive measure. If my camera person can just pan and show you the rest of the situation in this entire area right next to Red Fort. All of these barricades have been put up. There are police personnel on each side, so all the vehicle movement in this entire area has been blocked. Neither are cars being allowed to leave now. Even the ones parked here are not being allowed to leave the area because all of this complete barricading here, and no cars are being allowed anywhere near. However, a crucial information at this point, even for the public who tends to reside in this area, or for all the media personnel who've had to struggle so far in even covering this entire protest marches that started from here, was the problem with the internet access being completely stopped for the time being. Internet access as well as calls and SMS services were completely blocked until an hour ago. However, right now the services seem to be restored, because at least I have access to internet. Many of the protesters I spoke to over here, as well as the other media colleagues, everybody is able to access their internet right now, as well as calls and SMSs. All of it was blocked until an hour ago. So at least that is back in place, and it's at least a huge relief at this point to at least have a network access. So at least in this particular area in Delhi, the internet services tend to be back. However, it is unclear whether it has been restored in all areas of Delhi.
All right, let's go across to Maya Sharma at this stage. Maya, we've seen those dramatic images earlier on in the day of the historian Ram Guha being taken away by the protesters. There were massive protests which have been planned in Bengaluru. What's the situation now?
Well, the situation did kind of change through the day. At 11 o'clock, the protests were scheduled. People began to arrive in batches. They were dragged away into buses, including Ram Guha. Several students, several protesters dragged away. This continued till about 1 o'clock. As soon as people arrived, they were taken away. But from 1 o'clock onwards, people were actually allowed to have their protest opposite the town hall over there. They waved flags, they shouted slogans. They were sitting there, and the police did actually allow them to gather over there in that spot. And now you can still see a few people there with their posters, with their banners. Now, this strictly is not in accordance with the prohibitory orders. They have gathered there, but the police deciding to take it easy. The police commissioner had said yesterday his police would be firm but courteous, that they would be courteous, and certainly a decision taken by the police today after 1 o'clock not to force them away. They have been there since 1 o'clock. It is in fact breaking up now. People are leaving now. You can see the riot police packing up their kit and going away, and protesters are also starting to leave. So the protest all went peacefully.
All right, Maya, the protest went peacefully over there. Thanks for joining us. I'm just going to run through some of the main points over the last couple of hours for our viewers, because at this stage, on a day like this, when there are so many protests across so many parts of the country, we tend to get a bit ahead of ourselves in focusing on just one area, but it's been happening in so many areas. Firstly, let's bring out the pictures, not a problem. As you can see on the pictures on the screen over there is of one of our OB vans. This was targeted in Lucknow. There was stone pelting which took place. Media, as usual, gets attacked very often in many places. So that OB van of ours, through which we actually broadcast images to you, that's been attacked, that's been hit. But in terms of the overall picture here in Delhi, massive traffic snarls from early in the morning between Gurgaon in Haryana and Delhi. Those traffic snarls continue now. It's just barely better at this stage, with the police checking each and every vehicle. The concern for the police protesters going across to protest in Delhi despite not having permission. Metro services in the national capital stopped. 18 metro stations, entry and exit points, have been shut. Airlines are reporting that flights have been delayed. Many passengers have missed their flights. Internet cut off in some parts of the Delhi, restored since then. But how in 2019, it's about to be 2020, you have internet services and phone services and SMS services being cut in parts of our national capital? Apparently it's because protesters would use that to mobilize more protesters, which evidently was unacceptable. Where is dissent in all of this? The protesters who did go to Red Fort were taken away to Bayana, is what we know. Unclear at this stage if all of them or any of them have been released. Yogendra Yadav, the political leader and activist, one of those who's been taken away. In Bengaluru, where there were also protests which were held, one of India's foremost, if not India's foremost historian, Ram Guha, has been taken away as well. In Lucknow, violence, a bus set on fire in the Sambal district. More fire in another area where protests were taking place in Lucknow. A police picket burned down in old Lucknow. Motorcycles burned down as well. Very sadly, some of the violence in Lucknow and parts of Uttar Pradesh has been very violent. These are the images which I am talking about. As far as the situation in Bengaluru is concerned, as Maya Sharma was reporting, it's calm now. A lot of people who were there in town hall to protest have been detained. School buses jumping back to the situation in Delhi was a nightmare for parents worried about when their kids were going to get out of school back home. That's been a concern as well because of the traffic snarls. But that's just some of it. Chennai, Mumbai, Tiruvananthapuram, Ahmedabad. We've got images from all of these cities as these protests spread across India. Time now for this short break.
Get big discounts on medicines.
Only on MedLife app. MedLife.
Get big discounts on medicines.
Only on MedLife app. MedLife.
From sun-kissed beaches to the misty mountains, from lush green forests to the historic architectures, from the earthen melody to the marvelous urban designs.
Welcome to Bengal, the sweetest part of India.
Guys, we still need to find a hotel.
No panic. I have Trivago on my phone. Trivago scans hotel deals from the major booking sites, so you can find the best deal for your favorite hotel.
a session with paramilitary forces. We've seen other top leaders involved, but this seems to be the larger story of India today. Widespread protest of the Citizenship Amendment Act. Those close to the BJP say that a lot of the protesters who are out there today don't really know what they're protesting about. But let's, be that as it may, let's take a look at the situation in Lucknow. This is the report sent in by my colleague Alok Pandey.
The incidents of violence in Lucknow do not seem to be ending. We are at this police chowki near the Thakurganj police station. You can see the kind of vandalism that has happened here. This motorcycle has been turned upside down and set on fire. There are other police vehicles that have been torched. This police chowki here, there was an attempt made to set it on fire. I think these are very sad images to see. This is not something that you expect when there is a protest, even if the police are clamping down on it. This is something that is not right. But here, you can see that a mob here has attempted to burn this entire police chowki. I think this is the second one that I have seen today that has been vandalized. There are a lot of policemen here who are trying to keep the peace. They are in riot gear, but they're having a difficult time right now because the mob is inside, and they're all trying their best to somehow push them back in and ensure peace. But at the moment, scenes of destruction in the older part of Lucknow. With camera person Rajesh Gupta, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
Well, let's just take a look at political reactions which have been coming into all of this.
पूरे देश के अंदर, केवल दिल्ली नहीं पूरे देश के अंदर आज लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की स्थिति खराब होती जा रही है, दिन ब दिन बिगड़ती जा रही है, जिसको लेके मैं बहुत ज्यादा चिंतित हूं। और लोगों में एक किस्म का डर है, केवल मुसलमान नहीं, हिंदुओं के अंदर, सिखों के अंदर, क्रिश्चियंस के अंदर, सभी नागरिकों के अंदर ये डर है कि जब उन्हें कहा जाएगा कि आप साबित करो, कागज दिखाओ कि आप देश के नागरिक हो, तो इस देश में गरीबों के पास कागज नहीं है। 70% से ज्यादा लोगों के पास कुछ भी दिखाने को नहीं होगा, कागज दिखाने को नहीं होंगे। ये बड़ी विडंबना है कि जिस दिन आज लॉन्च कर रहे हैं उसी दिन इंटरनेट सर्विसेज बंद करनी पड़ रही है पुलिस को। मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि जल्दी हालात सामान्य होंगे और इंटरनेट सर्विसेज फिर से चालू होगी।
I sincerely urge and appeal all the political parties, leaders and people in general to maintain calm on the issue. Citizenship Amendment Act, CAA, is a national act. CAA is a constitutional provision. There is no question of states rejecting it.
देश में आक्रोश है। सरकार को हमने पहले चेताया था कि इसको ना करें, पर वो राजहट पर लगे रहे। आज पूरे भारत के विश्वविद्यालय में छात्र छात्राएं बाहर आ गए, प्रतिष्ठित नागरिक बाहर आ गए। ये कोई किसी राजनीति से प्रेरित घटनाक्रम नहीं है। प्रजातंत्र
We've got images which have been already. We've got images coming in from Mumbai at this stage, where there are large protests which are being held. If we can just get a location where these protests are getting in. Yeah, but where in Mumbai is what we are trying to understand so that we can tell our viewers what exactly is happening. But these are fresh images coming in of very sizable protests now taking place in Mumbai. A lot of the protests in Mumbai were planned earlier on. And these protests are taking place peacefully. Let's try and listen into what's happening in Mumbai.
चौंकाने वाला नाम था वो ऋतिक रोशन का था। ऋतिक रोशन अचानक से बीती रात काफी देर रात उन्होंने जो ट्वीट किए हैं, वो ट्वीट एक तरीके से उनकी चिंता बता रहे हैं। हालांकि वो किसी पार्टी के विरोध में नहीं है, किसी व्यक्ति के विरोध में नहीं है, लेकिन अनुराग कश्यप जैसे लोग तो व्यक्ति विरोध वाली बातें भी कर रहे हैं। और बहुत सारे लोग हैं जिनका बैकग्राउंड इस किस्म का है बाबा, जो लोग NSD से आए हैं, नेशनल स्कूल ऑफ ड्रामा से आए हैं, या पुणे में फिल्म इंस्टीट्यूट से आए हैं, फिल्म संस्थान से आए हैं, वो आपको बहुत सक्रिय दिखेंगे ऐसे मसलों में जिनमें जो ज्वलन मुद्दे हैं भारत के सामने, उन मुद्दों पर वो मुखर होकर बोलते भी हैं। आप उन मुद्दों में संध्या ब्रोदल में जी
बिल्कुल, और as you can see, very large indeed. let's just continue listening to what exactly is happening over there. But as you can see on your screen, and there are only so many boxes which we are filling your screen with. The protests which are taking place are all over the country. On top of your screen, the protests at the Agast Kranti Maidan in Mumbai right now. Tiruvananthapuram, there has been water cannons which have been fired. Lucknow, there has been a fair bit of violence in areas. The Sambal district of Uttar Pradesh, there has been violence over there. Guwahati protests continue. We've been seeing almost constant protests over the last couple of weeks in Guwahati. In Bengaluru, you can see Ram Guha over there, one of India's foremost, if not India's foremost historian, being dragged away by the police, as you can see over there, for talking about the constitution, and these protests also spreading to Jammu. So to say that these protesters don't know what's happening, that this has been instigated by one political party or the other, that seems a bit far-fetched, but that's exactly what those close to the government are saying at this juncture. Yes, there may be confusion over the Citizenship Amendment Act and exactly what it entails, and the fact is that on social media and on advertisements and elsewhere, the government is trying to clarify. But if this is a public response to what we have heard from the government so far on the Citizenship Amendment Act, then perhaps it should strike more of a chord than it presently appears to do. Where is the Prime Minister in all of this? Where is the Home Minister in all of this? Apart from their official engagements, will we hear statements from them appealing to people to end the violence in some cases and the protests elsewhere? Will there be some sort of political message as far as the Citizenship Amendment Act is concerned? Because it's not just India where people are protesting, protests taking place outside the country as well, protests not being allowed in some areas, as we've seen in Delhi and in parts of Bengaluru. Internet services cut down for a while in Delhi, some parts, but they're restored now. But quite clearly the government trying to ensure that these protests don't get out of hand. That's understandable because nobody wants violence to take place, particularly in light of the horrific violence which we've seen with students of the Jamia Millia Islamia University on Sunday. And now it appears that the police actually were resorted to firing as well in certain areas. We don't want any return to that sort of violence, but where are the big political statements? Where is the Home Minister? Who is reaching out to all of these people? I think these are important questions at this stage to which there are no answers. There are millions of people in India who want to know what's next. Where is the normalcy? How is that going to return? What about normal life? Are these protests going to spread? It's not one or two cities. There are at least 10 odd cities where these protests are taking place. They haven't started today. They've been going on now for the last couple of days. Perhaps fewer cities, but now this is the number that you see today. Police forces on edge in so many cities. They have a job to do to maintain law and order, but clearly it's a challenging task at this end, particularly since in areas, as we've seen, Delhi and in Lucknow, things have been getting violent. These are young people out there in protests, not just all students, not just all college students, but young professionals as well who are out over there, people wanting to get out to express themselves and show solidarity against the Citizenship Amendment Act, an act that allows persecuted minorities who are not Muslims from Bangladesh, Afghanistan and Pakistan to get refuge in India, but it doesn't allow members of the Muslim faith from those countries, or indeed any person, any minority from countries like Myanmar or Sri Lanka or Nepal, and therefore it's seen to be discriminatory where citizenship could be granted exclusively on the basis of your religion as long as you aren't a Muslim. That's the argument that many have raised. Purva Chitnis joins us now from Mumbai. Purva, tell us as we broadcast these images of this huge gathering at the Agast Kranti Maidan, what's happening around you? All right, apologies. We seem to have lost the line over there. Lots of protesters participating in Mumbai, but also, as I mentioned, protests taking place elsewhere as well. We'll try and get that line back with Purva Chitnis. Those images will clear up in a little while. Hopefully from now, we will come back to that. These protests have started in Mumbai. In terms of these sizable numbers of people gathering in just the last little while, the numbers have been increasing, but now very substantial numbers there. We'll take a short break. More coming up.
a celebration of India, a salute to our vast cultural landscape. Tribal dances from all over India to come together in Chhattisgarh on the 27th of December. For the first time, under the guidance of Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel, Chhattisgarh will host the National Tribal Dance Festival in Raipur.
जिससे एक दूसरे के जो कल्चर हैं वो समझ सकें, जान सकें उसके, और साथ ही राष्ट्रीय और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय से लोग आएंगे भी यहाँ।
A mega event to preserve and promote tribal folk art. Celebrating tribal life, the competition will be based on 4 themes. Dances for weddings, births and other auspicious occasions, dances during traditional festivals, and then a free open level competition for different tribes.
All right, guys, I'm going to hop off of here. I got 3 hours to get some rest before Mitch McConnell comes on and makes an announcement in the Senate to see what will happen with the trial of Donald J. Trump, who has just been impeached. So I'm out of here for now. I'll be back in 3 hours. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping through.